Many thanks for your company in this edition of Joy News today. To our very first story, Ghana's democracy will be meaningless unless universities leverage technology to address food security issues. This is according to the acting director of Technology Consulting Center at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Dr. Donald Amargo. He believes as Ghana prepares to honor its best farmer today, basic challenges like post-harvest losses must not be allowed to torment the country's farmers. Kwesi Deborah has more in this report.
Mr. Amargo was speaking at an engineering student design competition in Kumasi. He observes conventional methods of doing things, slow pace of development. Mr. Amargo says efforts must be geared towards community-friendly technology for accelerated growth of the country.
Just like the word transformative, changing the situation. The techniques of doing things have been difficult, drudgery, mixing with the hand or trampling with the leg. Can we have a simple technology that can change that formation or that such a way of doing things? And we shouldn't be looking at big things beyond the community, things within the community which can be harnessed, simple techniques, simple mechanisms.
This year's competition focused on energy and food security. 6 competing teams showcased their innovations.
Technology is built for the people and to be used by the people. They can cause cancer and increase the protectors to the house. So it can be proved. The country management system, Zoom Lion has been trying to work on our risk.
Overall winners, Team Ivatech, took home as their prize 1,200 Ghana cedis for designing an evaporative cooler. The cooler is designed with market women in mind to keep fruits and vegetables fresh throughout the sale period. Lecturer at the Department of Agricultural Engineering, Professor Emmanuel Bobobi, wants students to explore ICT to help farmers.
We want to encourage the young ones to actually go into this area where they can use ICT to improve the life of farmers. And this also includes even the use of ICT plus the unmanned area vehicles, these the drones to actually map out, crop yield and then even to predict food security ahead of time. So there's a need to encourage some of them to use these softwares, these applications to be able to enable the farmers to predict the yield of their crops, know the market price and even know the farm gate price of their crops.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Meanwhile, a recipient of one of the awards at the district level in this year's commemoration of the Farmers' Day has been emphasizing the need for government to quickly put in measures to tackle the problem of post-harvest losses. Joseph Yawapia was adjudged the second best farmer in the Sunyani West District as part of activities marking the 32nd National Farmers' Day. A total of about 90 farmers will be appreciated for their immense contribution towards the development of the agricultural sector. Joseph Yawapia was on News Desk this morning and spoke with my colleague Beatrice Edu. Now he's asked government to do more for farmers.
The most challenging aspect of this is the marketing. Now if you go to the farm, plantain is in abundance, you don't get market. And as I sit with you here, I have about 3 or 4 tons of fish ready for the market, but the market is not there. So marketing has been the major problem for farmers. Most of our produce are perishable ones, and we can't sustain them for quite a long time. Plantain season, the season will be over very soon. So the most viable commodity to me is the cocoa. And for that, you are guaranteed of your price. And then as soon as the season is on, you go and sell and get your money. Others, we are having a lot of challenges in marketing them. Government should think of how best farmers can dispose of their produce. They should be included in the award. They should sit down and then think about how best the farmers can dispose of their produce. Most of the farmers are unable to harvest their produce because there's no available market. The food distribution system was okay for the farmers because they were going to the rural areas to buy our produce. That was very helpful to us. But after the collapse of the food distribution, the middlemen are actually cheating on the farmers. The middlemen are enjoying the fruit of the farmer. The farmers are not benefiting from the toil. The basic problem is marketing the food produce. That is the basic problem. Other than that, and it's capital intensive. Look at fish, for instance. You buy the 25 kilo of the fish meal is about 70 Ghana cedis. If you have about 5,000 fish fingerlings, you have to buy plenty. It's capital intensive. You use all your resources, or you go for a loan. After the production, the market is not there. You lose. Nobody will go into farming. So the government should make market available for the youth, so that we can attract more youth into farming.
This year's event celebration is being held in Kintampo in the Bono-Ahafo region. We'll bring you more of that particular event in our subsequent bulletins. Let's still stay on farming. Some Ghanaian farmers have in recent times lost huge sums of money in farm proceeds due either to bad weather or natural disasters. Amid the challenges, there is little or no relief for the farmers in the form of insurance. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has been finding out, as we commemorate Farmers' Day, the plight of the people who till the land to feed the nation.
Droughts and frequent rainfall really affected me in the last season. Now that the plants are growing for the second time, the rains have also stopped falling. I have 20 acres of farmland. In all, I got only 9 bags of grain with low quality in my last harvest. In fact, I can't tell how much investment I made because I don't keep records of my expenditure.
Adam Idris of Ejura Seche Dumasi in the Ashanti region cultivated 20 acres of maize but painfully lost all of it to bad weather. John Kwesi Mensah is a fish farmer in the Ashanti region. He lost 17 tons of fish worth 170,000 Ghana cedis to flood in 2014.
Like I said, last year we lost almost about 16 tons of fish as a result of the
15 tons out of?
I think about 28, almost about half, more than half went. The rate of evaporation, for instance, the pond dries up and then you have to change or pump in water frequently. So you can see I have 3 pumps here and it's very expensive to operate them. But almost every other week I have to pump water in. That wouldn't have been so if the Harmattan or the dry season.
Vegetable farmers along the White Volta are also running at a loss as the river continues to dry up for the first time in recent history. We ask, isn't it time for farmers to insure their crops? It is sometimes heartbreaking for farmers like Idris. They invest huge sums of money, but they record poor or no yield at all at the end of the season. One thing for sure is they have no choice because they were born farmers.
I don't think I can stop farming because that is the only business I have. Yes, I continue to farm no matter how the situation is. Whether bad or good, we are born farmers.
All right. Adam Idris lives here with his 4 wives and children. His wives now take responsibility for the children's education until the next harvest. These are the 9 bags of maize he got from 20 acres of land. The quality of the produce is low, so he cannot sell it at premium price. The loss, however, never deters him from farming business. He has grown the maize again. We drove to Adam Idris's farm, about 20-minute drive from Ejura, to witness the current situation of the farm. The plants are turning yellowish, indicating they are withering for bad weather. The question then is, are Ghanaian farmers safe? Peter Derry is the Deputy Director at the Climate Change Desk at the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation.
So yes, we are safe. We're safe because it is a concern that has been recognized by the whole world, by both developed and developing countries. And because it's a concern recognized by all, efforts are being made from every corner of this world to ensure that we resolve problems related to global warming. The measures are in twofold. One of the measures is how can we reduce global temperature generally. That is, how can we reduce greenhouse gases in the atmosphere to make sure that we stabilize global temperature below the 2 degrees that the whole world is talking about. When we do that, the whole world becomes, in terms of warming, becomes stable, and then the temperatures come down, and then all these problems will solve. That's one. The second one has to do with us as a country. What are we doing to ensure that our farmers who are struggling with prolonged drought are able to still cultivate their crops, and then to ensure that we have food security and the rest?
From the development and expected future agricultural risk, many experts suggest a need to manage the system well. They want sustenance and improvement in agriculture as the backbone of the national economy. For now, experts suggest agriculture insurance. The Agriculture Insurance Program was launched in 2011 to initiate a key adaptation measure to climate change. 19 Ghanaian insurance companies, which form the Ghana Agriculture Insurance Pool, were committed to a solid financial foundation. Ghanaian insurance practitioner Prince Kutin Nuema participated in a workshop on innovative insurance product for adaptation to climate change.
Ghana. Well, like I said, it was on a pilot basis, and I happen to have even benefited for some training that was organized. I am aware that, like I said, it was a pilot. So for now, I don't know where that system has gotten to, and I will refer you to the Ghana Insurance Association, or yes, they were the people who were spearheading that program. So that thing is there. I'm aware that we have started piloting this since 2009, 2010, 2011 to some farmers even around the Afram Plains enclave. And so it is there. It is there, but I don't know whether it's been scaled up now to cover the whole of this country.
How would that system, how would it be different from any other insurance?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, that one was going to be based on a trigger. So as soon as there's drought, a certain region, a certain district recorded rainfall patterns that fell below the expected range for a farming season, it triggered the policy. If a farmer had that policy, they will only trigger the policy, and they can go in for a claim.
Though crop insurance is operational, replicating it in other regions from the northern region is a challenge. The policy covers only maize and soybeans, but most farmers are unwilling to patronize the system. It also lacks political will, like other public insurance schemes in the country. So we ask, what needs to be done to address the situation? Well, farmers might not be willing to get on top of the system due to lack of understanding. But isn't it time government intervene to get these farmers on board? Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reporting.
You're watching Joy News today. We take a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you some more stories. Please don't go away. You're still watching Joy News. Today, let's do some election-related news now. And Accra High Court has ordered the Electoral Commission to allow Dr. Hassan Ayariga, leader of the All People's Congress, to effect the necessary corrections on his presidential nomination form for resubmission. This is the outcome of today's court hearing on that particular suit filed by the APC against the EC, challenging its disqualification in the upcoming polls. So how did the court arrive at this decision? My colleague Joseph Akable witnessed proceedings and joins me on the phone with more. Now, Joseph, good afternoon and thanks for your time. What is the basis for this particular ruling of the High Court?
Well, essentially, the point that Judge Barbara Tedechawi put across is the fact that, contrary to the claim by the Electoral Commission that nomination period closed on the 30th of September, the judge says she disagrees and she's of the view that the nomination period ended on the 10th of October. Now, her reason is that per the CI 94, it says that a candidate stands nominated once he presents the filing fee. And you recall that owing to that PPP injunction over the filing fee, the commission couldn't receive the filing fee on the 30th of September and rather received it on the 10th of October. So the point that she's making is that, in fact, that should have even given the Electoral Commission more time to have identified the mistake for which they decided to reject Mr. Hassan Ayariga's form. Then again, she makes the point that once they failed to do that, they acted unfairly. She uses words such as unreasonable and irrational to describe the actions of the Electoral Commission. And in fact, she says they should allow Mr. Hassan Ayariga correct the mistake on his nomination form. Mr. Ayariga had wanted the court to order the EC to accept his nomination form, but the judge declined that and rather says he should be allowed the opportunity to correct that mistake on his form within a given period of time, after which the form should be accepted by the Electoral Commission.
So how is he taking this particular judgment, Dr. Ayariga, I mean?
He was all smiles as he left the courtroom. In fact, some supporters of the party thronged the court premises to throw their support behind their flag bearer. And he said the judgment from the judge is a very good one. He says it's one that explains the tenets of our democracy. And he is very happy and is ready to go out there to the country to campaign to the people, call on them to vote for him come December 7th.
All right, so Joseph, which other cases have been heard or which other cases are likely to be heard as regards the numerous election disputes filed at the High Court?
That of the PNC was also heard this morning. In fact, oral arguments were presented on the floor of the courtroom being heard by Novisi Ayene, Justice Novisi Ayene, and Dr. Raymond Atuguba represented Dr. Edward Mahama of the PNC, and his argument is a straightforward one. He's saying that they breached the candidate's human rights. They didn't allow him an opportunity to correct that mistake once the commission identified that mistake. So for which reason he's asking that the court orders that it allows the candidate an opportunity to correct that particular mistake in order to ensure that he contests in this year's election.
All right, Joseph. Right, sorry.
Yes, briefly, for that the NDP, the East lawyer couldn't show up in court, so the case has been adjourned, and in an hour time, that will be coming up at the High Court.
Right, but let's briefly, before you go, let's talk about the EC's lawyer. Have you been picking up any reaction? Are they willing to let this go, or they're taking it to the Supreme Court, like they did with Dr. Papakwesi Indum's case?
They are not commenting on that particular ruling. In fact, the EC lawyer, Sadio Sori himself, was not in that court when the Hassan Ayariga judgment was delivered.
All right.
It was around the
All right, thank you very much, Joseph, for those updates. Now let's get more on this story, especially on the implication ahead of the entire electoral process. And I'm joined on the phone by Samson Ladia Yenene, who is a legal practitioner. Hello, Samson. Thanks for your time. You're welcome to Joy News today. Now, it seems we are likely to hear more of this outcome of ruling from the court, looking at the way things are turning out, with specific reference to the PPP's case and the APC suit being the latest. Is that the case?
Well, that will be seeking to preempt the court, and that is something that you may do, but I am not allowed to do, particularly because of where I find myself. What I can say is that, as we normally would say, every case is determined on its merits. So, to the extent that each of the cases may have some dissimilarities, then you would say that you would want to wait until those cases are also determined on their merits. You would find, however, that a major issue on which all of these cases turn on is nomination period and nomination day. Today, this judge said all the parties in the case appear to have avoided the question of nomination period, but all of them spoke about nomination day. And the basis of her decision was that to have a nomination period made meaningful is for that nomination period to accommodate, or is for that nomination period to allow the candidates or the nominees an opportunity to do the things they are required by law to do, to bring their nomination form in compliance or in conformity with the law. So to the extent that the nomination day was set as ending on the 30th of September, and then for the EC to turn around and tell the candidates or the nominees that it was too late, that's why we couldn't call upon you, or that if you wanted an opportunity to correct some of the errors, that opportunity would have been available only during the nomination period. Because the nomination period has expired or has ended, we were unable to call them to come and correct some of these things. That is where the judge said, you cannot give by the right hand and take by the left hand. So on that score, it was unfair. And on that basis, quashed the decision of the Electoral Commission and asked that Ayariga be allowed the opportunity to also make corrections to his nomination form.
All right, Samson, when the EC decided to take the PPP case to the Supreme Court, you mentioned earlier on this platform that what could happen with that particular case, in whoever's favor it was ruled, could be a benchmark for all these other cases in court. So what would it be like now that this particular case has been ruled in favor of the APC's Hassan Ayariga? If the Supreme Court rules after the PPP case, would it automatically affect all these other cases, including this particular one?
I find that that is what will happen largely. And so Hassan Ayariga's victory is also a victory that is tied to the outcome of the Supreme Court decision, to the extent that the question of nomination period has to be clearly determined by the Supreme Court, and for the court to determine whether, even if the nomination period was available to these people, whether the EC should call nominees who had errors or mistakes which were potentially criminal matters, whether the EC or whether they were entitled to be recalled to come and correct those issues. Because this Ayariga issue, you know, the major issue was that two of the subscribers who endorsed his nomination form had also endorsed for other persons, other nominees, and that even in endorsing for the other nominees, the EC found that the signatures that they used in endorsing Ayariga's forms were different from the signatures that they allegedly used in endorsing the other person's forms. So that is a question that borders on criminality. And so the Supreme Court will now make the determination whether, number one, the nomination period was set, and if it was set, whether it was a fair nomination period. And number two, and more critically, whether that nomination period, if these anomalies, which are potentially criminal, the persons were entitled to be called to correct those anomalies as well. So if the Supreme Court makes that determination, and it makes the determination in support of those who are aggrieved, then it means they will be restored. But if it makes the determination in support of the EC, that, well, the EC is not supposed to call you to come and rectify anomalies that have potential criminality, then the judgment that they have obtained is useless.
All right, Samson, before you go, we know that the presidential candidate for the IPP, Kofi Akpaloo, he went to the police asking that the persons who signed for him and other candidates be investigated. Now, you speak that borders on criminality. Who is to blame as regards the law if the presidential candidates come out to say, we were not aware this person or these number of people were signing for other candidates as well?
Well, that's what the Supreme Court will also make a determination of, because the courts, as they are now in the High Court, they have shown precedent and shown what the rules and the law says, that presently the matters they are determining them on what you call invocation of the judicial review powers of the court. By way of what we call certiorari, and that process does not allow the court, the High Court, to go into the merits of the case. So as it stands now, the Justice Chebalford did not go into the merits of whether or not there were potential criminality or not.
Right. Thank you very much for your time, Samson Ladi Ayenene. He's a legal practitioner, giving us some more insight into all the electoral disputes in court. Now, in every election, the use of well-built men becomes a source of concern to the security service. Political parties sometimes engage these men to mainly protect ballot boxes and sometimes their presidential candidates. Now, are these men really for peace or not? Hannah Odami has been speaking to some of them, and let's get more from that particular interview she had.
What's the aim of Flex for Peace?
All right. Flex for Peace is an organization created by bodybuilders, which we've come together with the so-called Macho and the public together to promote peace during and after election.
How exactly would that be done? Okay.
For a couple of months, we've gone around educating the ghetto, the gyms, and areas like Nima, Tema, East Legon. We've preached about peace, especially to the so-called macho guys, and so on and so forth. Well, I'm a bodybuilder, and I'm a national athlete. Because of what I've gained from bodybuilding, I'm using that channel to bring all the macho guys, the langars, to come together. That in bodybuilding, it pays. So if you have the strength to do macho, because macho is somebody who is a bully. You understand? Right. He's someone who is a bully, so you can also be macho. If only you can bully someone, it means you are macho. So that's what we've done. So if you have a strength, and the general public, we are all coming together on the 12th of November, that will do a walk from 37 Military Hospital to the National Theatre Forecourt.
All promoting peace.
All promoting peace.
Okay. You mentioned land guards.
Yes.
Do you include them as well?
Yeah, we include everybody because the name Macho sounds a bit irritating.
But have they been cooperating? Because
they have been cooperating.
You know that we know that
we have.
Let me just chip in. I mean, what this is all about is trying to get these so-called, because they are vulnerable. They in their vulnerable state. We want to draw them into our fold, to even invite them, to get them to understand what we do as professional athletes. So then they can channel their energies into doing productive stuff. That's becoming, let's say for example, in Oliver's case, he's now a national athlete.
Yeah.
He competes across the globe in the name of Ghana. That's more productive.
Now let's get more from my colleague Hannah Odami, who's currently with the IGP at a program with these gentlemen who are promoting peace with that particular campaign, Flex campaign. Hello, Hannah.
Hi, Benny.
Yes, what has the IGP been saying in this particular meeting with these gentlemen promoting peace?
Yeah, you just heard from the people from Flex, but there were other groups of bodybuilders association here, different ones, about 5 or 6. And in their interaction, one thing I got was that they thought that when they are contracted by the political parties to protect the ballot, they actually have a mandate to go near the ballot boxes. But the IGP gave the strongest indication and also dispelled that notion, stating that under no circumstance should any of these men get near the ballot box because it is not their responsibility. He told them they have no right to yield any weapons on election day, before, during, and after. They have no right to bus people to places in the name of protecting ballot boxes. They have no right to create chaos because of their structure. All they have to do, if they've been contracted by political parties, is to just be with them and stay far away from the ballot boxes, because it is not their responsibility. It is the responsibility of the EC and security service, the security officers available. But he, however, asked them to support the police, so that should they see anyone misbehaving, those who are actually not in groups, they should at least contact the police, and the police will come for them. But they should not in any way take the law in their own hands on election day, Bernice.
Right. Thank you very much, Hannah, for those updates. You're still watching Joy News Today.